So I've used the Nature Garden A4 paper stack for this one. This is Prima. I've also used not ever so thick card for the pages, and you'll want 4 8¼ by 4. 8¼ is the short width of your A4 sheet, so out of 2 sheets you'll get the 4 pages. So I want you to do that. Then what you need to do is ink around your edges, both sides, and you want to ink the middle as well, where we're going to score. So I'll just ink down there. That will be the back. Just pop some on there. So that's just on one side. And then what you want to do is score it at 4 and 4¼ This is going to make our binding. So 4, oh, I'll get my decent one, that's skidding all over the place. 4 and 4¼ that's giving us our binding. Let's put that away. Oh. So that's going to be the outside. So you, out of each piece you're getting 2 pages. So open it up on the side that hasn't been inked, and you want some red score tape or some really sticky tape, and we want to pop that down the centre of the binding. Leave about 1/8 inch top and bottom with no sticky on it. Maybe a little bit shorter than 1/8 inch. So it should look like that. You've just got that small gap at the top. What we want to do then, I've found all the very narrow tape. I'm not sure how narrow this is. I think it's probably 1/8 inch, yes. 1/8 inch, and I've found all different colours that I've got. They'll go with my papers. And we'll lift that off. So when you've taken your score tape off, you need some ribbon which is 18 inches long, and you're going to centre that. So find the middle of your ribbon, more or less. That's there. And then put the middle roughly, just do it from your eye, roughly in the middle. I've got to be totally exact. That's what we want to do with that. Then you need to get some really wide tape, then leave that 1/8 inch there and 1/8 inch on the bottom. Sure, it really is down really well on that ribbon. You need to really push it down with your bone folder. Then we lift that off. Then we need the sheet or the mat to go on the top. The mat is 3 3/4 by 8 and scored at 3 7/8 and 4 1/8. I didn't say actually, if you want to round your corners you can. So we'll do that. You can obviously do a different decorative edge if you want to. That's our sheet, so we can round the corners on our mat as well. Put a lid on that ink so it doesn't dry out. And then what we want to do is score it, as we said. Scoring it at 3 7/8. Be careful not to go through your paper. And 4 1/8. That's giving the binding strip again. Fold your paper forwards, don't fold it backwards because it might split depending on the grain of your paper. So fold it forwards, don't fold backwards. just reinforce those two lines. Make sure your sides are all level. Now what we want to do now is to stick that on. Oh, I've got ink all over it now. Never mind, it's on the back anyway. So I'm going to use quick dry. Oh, go away, top. So let's pop some on there. And I pop some on the binding as well, just to make it even more solid. And then that fits. Make sure you're binding, you can see the two lines because you've left your 1/8 of an inch all around, so you can see the two lines. Make sure your score lines on your mat line up with those, and then pop that mat down. So that's that one. Bend it forward again, not backwards. And that's that. Again, make sure it's down nicely. That's the mat for your inside pages. I want two mats, 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So again, we can round those edges. Once those done, then we'll just glue those on and oh, come off the end. Woo! Skidding around everywhere. Don't be tempted to turn it backwards though, because we don't want the inside of the paper to tear. So leave it as it is and pop the mats on this way. Do the other one. Okay, so that's your pages. You want to do 4 exactly the same. Well, you can use different paper, obviously. Each one can be different papers, but the construction needs to be exactly the same. So I've done my 4. On the ones I've done now, I've actually decided on the middle I didn't want to make a border on that, so you can cut it the same size as the page if you don't want your border around, or cut it the size that we did the other ones so that you get your little border. So I've got 2 that have and 2 that haven't, so I'll mix those up. I've put different colour ribbon in every one of those, so that will be joined on the outside, so that looks nice. So for the cover, you'll need a bit thicker cardboard for that, and you can do that at 4.5 by 9 7/8, and we're going to score that at 4 3/8 and 5.5. That gives us a spine of 1 1/8. So we need to bend that now. So we bend that one inwards and just reinforce the score, and then bend the other one, reinforce the score again. That's your cover. So from the bottom of your spine, just with a pencil, just make a mark at 1/4 inch up. You can do that with the ruler that way round, because you've got your quarters on the from here to here. So if I pop that on there, this is just a faint pencil mark so you can just see where you want to punch your holes. So once you've drawn your pencil marks, if you get your crocodile or any other hole punch you use the big hole, go onto that pencil mark, centre that. You'll see your pencil mark through there, and it needs to be in the centre of your circle, and then just punch. So you can just with your eye decide where the middle is. Then we need to put our brad in, eyelet, not a brad. And then just set that. These are so good, these tools, aren't they? What? Can't even remember the time when you used to have to get your hammer out and all that caper and the noise and the having to find somewhere stable to do it and all that nonsense. So what you want to do then, so they're sort of like signatures, I suppose, that's what you would call them. You're going to thread each ribbon in through the holes. So on each, let's call them signatures, they're not because they're not sewn, but anyway, your set pages, I suppose. Yeah, thread them all through. I've alternated my patterns. They'll go easily through the hole. So you need to do that, top and bottom. So you need to push all your pages down so that their spines, each page's spine is flat within that spine of the cover. Once they're all flat, push down with your fingers there, holding the cover as well, so that everything, as you can see, is flat there. Then pull your ribbons, especially the outside ones. So pull it all really taut. If you've got someone that can put their finger on there now at this point, that would be helpful. If you haven't, you'll just have to put your own finger on there. But you do need to keep that tight, obviously, otherwise they'll go loose inside. So keep holding on to that knot at the bottom with one finger and pull the other bit through, keeping that taut as long as you can. There, and then you've got all your ribbons, you've got your pages in there. So this is what it looks like. That's your cover, your pages are in. This is why you can see it wouldn't really work on a bigger album, but this size it's fine. And there are your pages. Decorate it now however you want to, and I hope you enjoy making one.